In today's episode, we go through the history of Notre Dame de Paris and find out why this great monument of the world is in ruins after a massive fire. This is Kyriakos for Engineering Made Fun. Don't forget to subscribe and hit that like button before we jump right into the video. Notre Dame is one of the world's most known and recognizable Gothic cathedrals, differentiating from other cathedrals for its size, the architectural aspect of the structure, and the antiquities it holds. The cathedral dates back to the medieval ages when in 1163 Pope Alexander III laid the foundation stone, and it took around 200 years to complete the whole cathedral. The church is situated in the heart of the historical city above the ruins of two previous churches, which in turn sat on the ruins of a Gallo-Roman temple dedicated to Jupiter. The cathedral was designed by the architect Maurice de Sailly, who at the time served as the Bishop of Paris, and the architectural layout of Notre Dame consists of a short transept, an apse, the choir, and the nave of the church, flanked by two aisles and a square chapel. The original central spire was removed in the 18th century due to instability, and the spire that collapsed on the 15th of April during the fire was installed in the previous renovations of the 19th century. The dimensions of the cathedral are 130 meters by 48 meters in plan, and the roof rises 35 meters in height. The two Gothic towers were erected between the years 1210 and 1250 and separated in three stories along the 68 meters of height. The doors of the Gothic towers are adorned with some early eminent Gothic carvings, and the original plan was that the two towers would be crowned but never came to pass as the spires were never restored. At the east end of the cathedral, the apse is supported by a single flying buttress arch. A flying buttress is a vertical pier, which at the end, a half arch extends outwards and supports a section of the roof of a structure. This type of half arches were regularly used for Gothic cathedrals of this era. At the top of the pier, there sits an added weight called pinnacle, which is a form of some kind of ornament, a pyramidal or some other conical shape which contributes to the stability of the pier itself. Going backwards, Lady of Paris has gone through some great historical events, but escaped unharmed the First World War, and during the Second it only had minor damages when Paris was liberated from the Germans. The one war that almost destroyed Notre Dame was homegrown. During the French Revolution in 1790, when the revolutionaries tried to cut the ties with the Catholic Church, the cathedral was looted of its treasures, and many of the figures that adorned the facades were decapitated. At one point, the cathedral was renamed as the Temple of Reason and became a place of festivities during the Revolution, and was used for the Festival of the Supreme Being, as it was called, a festivity which included parades, music, and pageantry. Fortunately, after the Revolution, the cathedral returned to its former glory by the mid-19th century under Napoleon Bonaparte, who crowned himself as king in 1904 at Notre Dame. Despite the plentiful events in his 900 years of life, on the 15th of April, the roof of Notre Dame caught fire, and the symbol of France was close to crumbling down to the earth. It was late in the afternoon when the first fire alarm went off, but it was considered as a false alarm since upon checking no fire was seen. Then a second alarm went off 20 minutes later, and the fire was discovered at the base of the spire. As the firefighters struggled to control the fire from extending to the wooden frame of the two Gothic towers of the facade, the spire collapses and Notre Dame is in ruins. The following morning, the flames that were burning for the past 12 hours are extinguished, and it's up to the investigators to find out what is or who is the cause and what antiquities have been forever lost in the flames. But let's go back and see how it all started. As previously mentioned, two alarms went off before discovering the fire under the roof. According to New York Times, witnesses said that smoke could be seen rising from atop of the roof before the fire became visible and engulfed the roof and the scaffolding. At the point of the fire origin, there was a network of wooden beams under the roof shell, nicknamed the forest, that dated back to the Middle Ages and were designed to support the spire in the roof, but at that time were serving as fuel for the flames. Within the wooden structure of the roof, beside the fire monitor system being in place, there was no fire prevention system, such as sprinklers. If such a system had been in place, it ultimately might have saved the roof of the cathedral from completely burning and collapsing. The fire might have initially started at the base of the spire, but in its 12-hour rampage it burned through the whole ripped roof and threatened the two Gothic towers. The two Gothic towers hold the bell of the cathedral at the top, and the firefighters, in fear that the frame of the two towers would catch fire, they struggled to contain the fire in the roof segment of the cathedral. If the wooden frame of the towers had caught fire, the structural integrity would have been compromised and the towers wouldn't be able to support the weight of the 5 bells, one of which weighs 13 tons. If such scenario came true, the bells would come bashing down on the structure's walls, and with that much weight traveling the height of the building, the walls would experience tremendous dynamic loading under a condition that was not meant to occur. This was the worst case scenario, which would result in the total destruction of Notre Dame, which not only means the loss of one of the world's most recognizable monuments, but the loss of a cultural symbol tied to a strong heritage for the citizens of Paris and France in general. But what is the cause of the fire that almost destroyed the cathedral altogether entirely? For some time now, the cathedral was under renovation, but during the time that the fire manifested, there was no one working. So the question became why the roof caught fire and how. In the aftermath of the fire, people feared that this could have been a terrorist act, but the prosecutor opened this case as an involuntary destruction by fire, which led us to believe that this is a case of an accidental fire and not a purposely targeted act. The police proceeded with questioning a number of workers that were currently working on the renovations to find the cause of the fire, and as the investigation proceeded, the authorities admitted that it was an accidental fire, but not a clear statement of the fault at hand was made. Speculation by large media corporations and leaflets say that the fire is considered to be a result of a short circuit of the cable, since there are no permanent electrical cables installed in the roof in order to maintain the original picture of the ripped roof and the forest of timber beams. The cause of this catastrophic event is accidental and that of a human error. The cable that short-circuited and led to the fire was a temporary power line placed during the renovations to deliver electricity where it was needed. The main cause might lie in electrical short-circuit, but the truth of the matter is that there was no precaution at all in place, no firewalls and no sprinklers, so that the original image of the roof would not be altered and remain as close to the original design as possible. It's one of those cases that if firewalls and fire precautions were installed carefully at strategic locations so that the roof could retain the beautiful timber beams as they were originally designed and still protect them in case of a fire, the cathedral might have been in a better state and the 13th century roof might have been saved. Maybe not entirely, but certainly a large part of it. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed today's video, drop a like, subscribe and hit that notification bell to be the first to be informed for new uploads. Also, remember to share this with a friend to support this effort. If there is a case of structural failure you want me to look at, drop a comment below and I will look into it.